Hello! In today's video, we're going to learn the iconic blues standard, Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out on solo ukulele. This is done in a chord melody style, which means we're going to be layering the melody and the chords together to create this really rich, lush instrumental sound, making it perfect for anyone who wants to sing with their ukulele. I'm playing this on a low G ukulele, but it's compatible with high G too. It sounds great. And you can even play it with baritone. It'll just sound a bit different because of the different tuning. If you'd like to hear what this whole track sounds like, you can skip ahead to the end of the video for a full demonstration. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive into the beginning of this tune, which will look something like this with the tab on screen. Now, if you'd like to download a copy of this tab, it's linked right over here on my Patreon page. Every month we do a tutorial based on the votes and suggestions of patrons, and this happened to win this month's vote. This is a super fun tune to play. Let's go ahead and dive in. Now we're going to start with an F chord. We're going to play that with our middle finger here on the second fret of the G string and our index finger here on the first fret of the E string. And to play this, my playing hand is going to utilize thumb picking. Now you can use fingerstyle, more finger picking if you're more comfortable with that, but I did make this arrangement to be using this thumb style. This is called melodic picking. I've got a video on it right here if you've never played with it before to get you started. But we're going to strum through all four notes here for the word no of nobody. And then we're going to move to our next chord, which is going to be an A7 chord. To do this, we're going to move our index finger up to the first fret of the C string and our ring finger here to the third fret of the E string. So we have 2, 1, 3, 0. And we're going to strum through and stop here on the A string. And then, after we've done that, we're going to play the A string. So the thumb will stop there, now we strike it through. So that gives us our nobody. Going into the next measure here for a nose, we're going to go to a D7 chord. You can fret the full D7 if you'd like. 2, 2, 2, 3. We're not going to have to play the whole thing though, because we're only going to play the G, C, and E strings there at the second fret. So strum through those with the thumb and stop there on the A string just like we did in the previous measure. And that's the word nose, and then for the word you, we're going to strike the second fret on the C string. So we have nose, you. And the first two measures together sound something like this. Nobody knows you. Now at this point, we're going to move up the neck, which this arrangement does do a little bit of. We're going to go to a G minor chord played at 0, 7, 6, 5. So we're going to do this by playing our ring finger on the 7th fret of the C string, ring finger on the 6th fret of the E string, and our index finger here on the 5th fret of the A string. It's just like an E minor chord moved up, if you know how to play that chord, to 7, 6, and 5. Make sure that your fingers are nice and arched here. If they're getting flat, you're going to get a buzz. Keeping them a really good articulate angle helps get a good tone. You're going to go through across all four strings for the word when. And then the word you're going to play the 5 on the A again. And then we're going to move down to the D7 chord. Same one we played before. This time we are going to go through on that third fret on the A string. So bar all the way across the second fret with the index. Add the middle finger here on the third fret of the A. Strum through all four strings. And that's the word down. Play the 3 on the A again for the word and. And so that measure looks like this. When you're down. And then the last measure here of this stanza is a G minor chord. To play this, you're going to put your index finger on the first fret of the A string, ring finger on the third fret of the E string, and middle finger here on the second fret of the C string. We strum through all four together. And that little pair of measures, 3 and 4, sounds something like this. When you're down and out. So a little challenging because there's so much movement. But let's go ahead and hear what this whole stanza should sound like now. It sounds something like this. Now as we go on to the next stanza, measures 5 through 8, it's a little tricky. There's a bit more movement that's going to take place here. Let's go ahead and hear what these four measures should sound like. It should sound something like this. I'll say the words too. In your pocket, not one penny, and your friends, you haven't any. And. So there's a lot going on here, including the very first part of measure 5. This is a B flat 6 chord, 0, 2, 1, 1. So the middle finger goes here on the 2nd fret of the C string, index on the 1st fret of the E and A, right? And it's in parentheses. Why is that? Well, it's because this is a filler strum. You'll notice there's no word associated with the tab. When you have a filler strum like this, you want to play it softer so that the melody is not caught by the listener. What I mean by that is this is all harmony. It's all the chord. And the melody doesn't start until we play the 5 on the A twice for in your pocket, right? So we don't want to play that first chord as if the melody's there. Play it softer so that then when we play the 5 on the A, which we can stretch our pinky out here, play twice, can be a little bit louder. Now, a quick note on the B flat 6, it is a little partial bar here. The index finger is going to go across the 1st fret of the E and A strings. Make sure you get right up next to that fret wire and then try to have a bend right here so that you can allow the E and A strings to get pinched and then pull back a little bit against that bend. And that way you're not just squeezing it, but you're also pulling back, and that can help catch good tone on those strings. But then after we play that, we play in your 5 on the A twice. Bit of a stretch there, okay, if you have to take the fingers off. We then go to this lovely G13 chord for the word pocket. And we're going to take our index finger, put it on the 5th fret of the A string, barred across the C, E, and A. So same type of thing we did down here, now across 3 strings. And then we're going to take our ring finger and we're going to put it across the 7th fret of the E and the A strings. I do believe that this is the hardest part of the whole tune. If you can get comfortable with this chord and transitioning in and out of it, I think you're going to have a great time with the rest of the arrangement. So just stick with it. You've got this. It's a tricky chord. It might take some time. But listen how cool it sounds. Isn't that a great sound? So again, the double partial bar there. Remember, pull back a bit. Don't just squeeze, but actually pull the fretboard back, and that can help get good tone. After I've played that, I'm going to play the 5 on the A by just taking the ring finger off. The bar should still be there with the index. I'm going to play the 5 on the A. So that measure, soft on the B flat 6. In your, and then pocket. Pretty cool. Go ahead and measure 6. We play an F chord. Now, trick here, it's in parentheses. That means we're going to play it softly, and the A string is not played. So I'm just going to play the 2, 0, 1 with my middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the G and my index finger on the 1st fret of the E string. Same chord as we played at the beginning of the song, but we're going to play it softly, stopping our thumb here on the A string. And then we're going to play 3 on the A twice. Now, I prefer that you use your ring finger if you can, just because it's a good habit to form for other tunes. But for some people, this is a really big stretch if they're trying to hold the F. And if you have to take it off, that's okay. Another option, though, is you could use your pinky instead on the 3 on the A, whatever's more comfortable. But you're going to play through the F, and then not 1. And then for penny, we're going to go to a D7. And the way that we can play this D7, there's actually a couple different ways we can do it. Let's go and try this one for right now. Leave the middle finger where it is, take the index finger off, and then move the ring finger to the 2nd fret of the E string. 2, 0, 2, 0. Strum through all 4 strings. And then play the A string again. And that's for penny. And that sounds something like this, measure 6. Not 1, penny. Going into the 7th measure here, we're going to play this awesome G7 sus2 chord. It's pretty simple, just the index finger on the 1st fret of the E string and the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the Z string. Strum through all 4 strings, and play the A string again, so that's and, your, and then play the A strings again for friends. And then play 2 on the C for the word you. So it goes, and your friends, you, and then have an NE. Stay on this chord, strum through all 4 strings. Play the 2 on the C, open on the A. And then we're going to play just the 3rd fret on the E string with the ring finger. Strum our G, C, and E, stopping on the A. And you'll see that this says a C7 chord at this point. And that kind of ends this little phrase. To pick up into the next one, we then play that 3 on the E again. So that measure is haven't any. Now I want to do just a real quick breakdown here. It says C7, yet we're playing this. And for you theory buffs, you might know, hey, C7 looks like this, or this, or this. There's a lot of different C7s, but this usually isn't one of them. The reason for this is really simple. We're trying to play a chord melody style, which means we need our melody note, in this case the 3 on the E, to really shine through. So we want to chop up the chord in a way that allows that melody note to pop through. If I play a C7 like this, it'll sound like this note, the B flat, is my melody, and that's not what I want in that moment. You can learn more about this approach and creating your own chord melodies on my chord melody course. That's available right here, both on my Patreon page and Ukulele Underground. But anyways, going through now, this whole stanza should sound something like this, starting with measure 5. And again, I think this is the hardest stanza of the song, so if you can play this, you got it from here. Pretty cool, right? Now, as we go on to measures 9 through 12, they should sound something like this with me saying the words through it. Soon as you get on your feet again, everybody is your long lost friend. So when we're playing this line here, what we want to get comfortable with is realizing it's very similar to the first 4 measures of the tune with some small variations. We're going to start with the F chord, same way we did before, strum through all 4 strings. Then we're going to play open on the A twice. And then we're going to go to the A7 that we did before. Remember, just move that index up to the first fret of the C string, ring finger here to the 3rd fret of the E string. We're going to strum through our G, C, and E strings. And then we're going to play the open A, and play the open A again. So this is very similar to what we played earlier when we were going on the F to A7. It's just a little variation. Soon as you get on your, and then feet again, right? It's just the same stuff in a different package, right? And as we go into that measure 10, we go to the D7 now. Instead of being all the way across, we go 2, 0, 2, 0 like we did earlier. And we're going to play that all the way through to the A string, stopping on that string, and then playing the open A, and then play 2 on the C with the middle finger. All right. And so that's going to now sound something like this for the 9 and 10. As we move on to the next part here, you'll see that it starts with a little filler strum. We're going to strum through our G minor chord here, 0, 2, 3, but we're going to stop on the A string 1st fret, so we strum through, stop on that string. Then we'll play the 1 on the A string twice. And then we're going to go to our D7 again. In this case, we're going to go to the 2, 0, 2, 0, strum through all 4 strings, and then play open on the A 3 more times. So that has that sort of. And then going into measure 12, we're going to go back to our G minor, the same one that we were just playing a moment ago, strum through our G, C, and E, then play open on the A, and then 1 on the A. So those 2 measures have this sort of sound of. And the whole stanza here, measures 9 through 12, should sound something like this. Right. So from here we go on to measures 13 through the end. To play this, it's going to sound something like this. I'll say the words as I go through too. It's mighty strange, without doubt, nobody knows you when you're down and out. So this is the final part of the tune. We're going to start with a B flat 6 chord. Last time we played it down here. This time we're going to play it up here. And the way we're going to do it, it's a G shape for all intents and purposes, but we're going to play it with a little bar here. So we're going to take our index finger barred across the 5th fret of the C, E, and A, and add the middle finger here on the 6th fret of the E string. Strum through your G, C, and E together with the thumb, stopping on the A. Then play the A string 3 times. It's mighty. And then we're going to go to the G13, ring finger here across the 7th fret of the E and the A, leaving the index bar where it is. Strange. So this is very much like measure 5, uses the same tricky chord. And then from here it goes on to measure 14. We're going to jump down to an F chord, play the G, C, and E, nice and soft, stopping on the A, before playing the A string on the 3rd fret twice, without And then going to our D7, the 2-0-2-0, we've played several times to this point, for doubt. So those two measures sound like this. It's mighty strange, without doubt. And then we're going to do the last section of the song, my favorite part to play. Nobody knows you when you're down and out. And to play this, we're going to play the middle finger here on the 2nd fret, index here on the 1st fret of the C and the E strings. That's our G7 sus2. Strum through all 4 strings. 1st fret on the E string, 2 on the C, open on the A, 1 on the E, 2 on the C, open on the A. And that's the iconic line of nobody knows you when you're. And then down for measure 16 is all open, down, and that's that C7 chord. In this case, it's not this C7, it's all open because the melody note is this A note. I know there's no A in a C7 chord, but if you were playing with somebody else, you'd want them to play a C7 while you're playing this open A for the melody. That's why chord melody stacks the melody note on top of the harmony so that it can ring out. And after we play the C7 that's modified to conclude that A melody note, we then play the open A again. And then we do our F chord, 2-0-1, and we're going to strum through, stopping on the A string. So those two measures, nobody knows you when you're down and out. And the whole stanza should sound something like this. There's the whole tune. Bringing the camera back up. This is a really fun blues tune to play, done in this chord melody style. I will say though, it's a little sparse, right? There are moments where we have like a whole note, an entire measure with just one chord added. So it's really important to be flexible with this arrangement and make it your own as you gain comfort with it. As you get comfortable with these chords, feel free to add in fingerstyle, add in strumming, any sort of fills that you feel work well with this. Give it a go to see what sort of sounds you can create. This is something that's covered in my chord melody course, again linked in the description up above, where I talk about not only how to make your own chord melody arrangements, but how to add fills with fingerstyle, finger picking, strumming, and all that cool stuff. So this is a great tune to do that with, and let me know how it goes. Feel free to leave a comment or question down below. I look forward to seeing you next time on the next tutorial here. Give this video a like, hit the subscribe for all that algorithm stuff. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.